And tonight, Mark's going to talk to us about Boris Spassky, some of his selected attacking games.
Yeah.
So over to you, Mark, to tell us about my favourite Boris.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. No contest. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. What I'll do I'm going to do a brief introduction to Boris Spassky's, not life's the wrong word, but more about his character more than anything. I think that's germane to what happened to him in later life. But most of my source is this book by Bernard Cafferty, Spassky's best 100 best games. I've also picked some stuff up from chess games, some later games as well. So I shall. I've got 11 games to go through. So I'm going to make this not quite as interactive as I've done with previous sessions, but I've got some questions to ask people at some points. What I would say is I have got some less well-known games, but I have got some quite well-known games. So you may have seen some of these games before, but I make no apologies for that because they're great games. And they bear seeing again, in my opinion. But so sorry if you've seen some of them before, but they're not seen often enough, in my opinion. So anyway, so I'll start with a bit of history. So Boris Vasilyevich Spassky was born in Leningrad in 1937. And it's said that he learned chess at the age of 5 on a train which was evacuating him from Leningrad during the start of the Nazi siege. Obviously, Leningrad wasn't as bad as Stalingrad, but it was still pretty bad. And he learned chess on that route. And then obviously there was the end of the war, and after the war there was sort of problems with food and everything. But he got into chess, and he liked playing it. And a bit later on, he said, there was an interview with Leonard Barden, actually, and Leonard Barden interviewed him. As a young boy, I never thought I would become a strong chess player or a professional. Later, when I grew up, I understood that it was necessary for me to take chess more seriously. But I continued to be very lazy about it. This is a contradiction, but it's in my nature to be like a Russian bear. So Barden says, what do you mean a Russian bear? So he says, someone who is very calm and lazy, and who even finds it an effort to spend the time to stand up. Now, some people say these things about themselves, and it's not really true, but I feel this is quite germane to Spassky's personality. He wasn't particularly academic at school. He was very keen on sport, especially volleyball and tennis, but he liked history, but he was best at mathematics. So he started doing a degree in mathematics, but with his chess commitments and other activities, he decided it was too much like hard work. That's his excuse anyway. And he switched to journalism, and didn't have to do too much work on that. And when he said the exams were easy, but he wasn't interested in journalism really. He didn't do any journalism after that. Didn't write any books or anything. So I kind of feeling he's just too bone-hard to do the work to do maths. But there you go. So he was very sort of calm, relaxed, not very driven is what I'm trying to get to here. It's my perception of him anyway. He was said to be a very charming man. He was married 3 times, and he was quite well known, quite keen on the ladies. And there's a very famous story, which I think is not apocryphal, but I'm not sure, that he was in a bar. I think it was when he was living in France. He was in a bar and was chatting up the barmaid, and got out a chess set and played chess with her and deliberately lost. Now, if you can imagine Kasparov or Carlsen or Alekhine deliberately losing, he was more interested in other things, not so much the result of the game, So it's sort of a bit about his personality. Something else I wanted to say really was about people know Spassky because mostly these days because he's lost to Fischer. And it was there's a lot of bad games in that match by Spassky and by a couple by Fischer, but it's worth bearing in mind they played 5 times before that match, and Spassky had won 3, drawn 2, and lost none against Fischer. So it wasn't before the match it was by no means a foregone conclusion that he was going to lose. And one other thing I wanted to say also, which encapsulates his attitude to the game, was that in the very famous 6th game of the Spassky-Fischer match, where it was the Queen's Gambit declined toss cover variation, where the best game of the match that Fischer won. At the end, the crowd were applauding, and Spassky stood up and applauded Fischer as well. I can't think of many world champions who would applaud their opponents when they just duffed them over in a world championship match. So his attitude was very, very much relaxed about it. You know, he wasn't a driven man to be world champion. He was just a good player. You know, so that's my sense of him anyway, from all the things I've seen written. So having said all that, I'm going to start on some of the games, hopefully. Okay, this is also a fairly well-known game. I think Spassky was how old was he? 12, 11 or 12, against a chap called Avtonomov, and just he started out. He was thought to be a very sort of careful, correct player, and he had Vladimir Zak as a trainer, but also he ended up they gave him Tolosh as a trainer, who was very tactically aware, and he sort of made him become more tactical. You know, and that's what you see a lot of in Spassky later on. I think it must have been in him. He just was a bit nervous. So this game is against Avtonomov, and as in a junior tournament, and it's quite an interesting game in a way, because obviously this is all before computers and anything like that. But the Soviets were very, very correct in training their students, I think.
What colour is Spassky?
White. So this is all fairly well known. I'm not going to play he's play A4, but he plays Queen E2, B5, Bishop B3, Knight C6, Knight C3, pawn takes pawn, Rook D1, B7, pawn takes pawn. Now at this point, I think that makes it's a fairly well motivated move, in the sense he wants to occupy D5, you know, but he's a bit lagging in development here. So Spassky, what's Spassky's next move, do you think?
Bishop takes E6.
No, not that spectacular. Much more.
I think we may have had this game demonstrated before by Andy Martin. I think does White play D5 here?
He does, yeah. I've not seen that, so yeah, okay. He does play D5, which is interesting because it's protected 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Protected 3 times. But it's the development thing, you know. Bishop G5, and now the pressure's right on. So Bishop E7, so he knocks it off. Pawn takes, Knight takes. He plays Bishop takes D5. Let me just check that. Yeah, E takes D5 is slightly better, but it's horrendous anyway. And Knight D4. So just on positional grounds, you know, it's well worth a pawn, right? This is just horrendous for Black. But it's a nice clean finish. I mean, knowing Black cooperates, but so here he plays King F8. And if anybody follows Ben Feingold, I don't know, Knight F5, which obviously is a fantastic square because it's can't be driven off, and it's a great square near the king. So Black's in just serious trouble here. They played H5, and White now plays. Anybody want to guess?
Rook AC1.
No, something more direct this time, actually.
Rook takes
That's a
D5.
good move as well, by the way. You know, it's just a good position. Yeah, Rook takes.
Oh,
D5.
yes.
I mean, Queen C7 is hopeless, you know, but that's that. Mate to Knight E7 check. So what I like about that is it's very sort of he understands the position very well, obviously, and it's a really sort of clean finish. So that's the very early Spassky. People know that game. Then I'm sorry if Andrew Moss said it. I didn't know.
No, it's a lovely game.
Yeah, it's very clean, isn't it? Somehow I don't know.
Definitely worth seeing again.
It's a very quick kill from.
It really is.
You know,
yeah. I mean,
not a horrendous mistake from Black, really.
What I would say
Throat, didn't he?
in this position, I mean, it may be that Black can defend. I've not put it through a computer, but just it doesn't matter hardly because on positional grounds alone, you know, White's got tons of compensation. More than that, you know. So yeah, fantastic. I don't think I can move on to the next game, can I? I can I?
Yeah, why not?
This is a game, Spassky's white again. A lot of these were Spassky with white. They didn't have to be because he plays a lot of attacking games with both colours. But they just selection I made just happened to be predominantly white, not exclusively. This is a game against a chap called Aaron Reshko, for the tournament, for the Leningrad Championship, in fact. So Spassky white again. That's it. That can't be right, can it? What?
E4. No.
Can't be right.
Yeah, G7's hanging if he takes it.
Oh, okay, yeah, but yes, I don't remember. I don't remember the move. Oh, yes, I do. Sorry, I apologise. Yeah, I must admit, I picked up these, went through these games and picked them out of chess plays, and at least 3 of them had errors in them, wrong moves in them. You know. So I'm a bit wary. Okay, B4.
Remarkable move, still.
C5, B5, C4. This is just 4, one takes pawn, castles, one takes pawn, T3, takes pawn. So he better come through with the attack here, or otherwise he's going to be lots of material and pass pawns down. The bishop D1, which was a surprise move to me. Did you? He's got to take it on 3. He's might as well do it with tempo.
They should take the pawn here.
Yeah, he should do. Yeah, he should take with the pawn, but he played rook A2.
So I'm preferring black's position here, but
Yeah, but this is but right. This is right. One thing I did want to say. There was a book I got many years ago, a collection of Morphe's games by an English player called E.W. Sargent. He had a bit of an introductory section, and one of the things he said was Morphy was an artist, and the way to appreciate an artist is not to dissect him. And I feel much the same way about Spassky. You may not agree with that, but you know there were no computers here. Yes, it's not perfect, but what actually happened here? White isn't losing here, by the way. He's not winning for quite a long time, but he's not losing either. But how you judge that, I don't know. You know, I think you have to be very confident in your attacking play to play all this, by the way.
I'm struggling to see what White's got here.
Well, what's his next move, do you think?
is it
Do
F5?
F5.
Yes, correct. What else is there? You know, yeah.
Because he's got bishop F4 if the pawn goes.
So he took the knight, and he took on E6. And at this point, Black played F6, which seems, you know, he's looking to win here. You know, you can solidify the knight. He's got multiple passed pawns. It's not, you know. So how does White continue his attack now then?
Could he do bishop H5 check? I don't know.
You could do. It may be a move.
Knight takes F6.
Yeah, might be an idea. It's not what he played.
Rook takes 6.
Rook takes F6. Correct. Who said that?
Ooh.
So this is not some casual game. This is the Leningrad Championship, which is you know, as you can imagine, it's quite a big deal in any large Russian city. King D8. And now this is the nice move. Knight D5 gain tempo on the queen.
Yeah.
Queen D6. G5 check. King C8. Now bishop G4.
Wow.
Yeah. So suddenly it's all looking a bit better than it was before we played rook takes F6, right? However,
Could he not take the bishop on G4, or it's not?
he did, and that's a mistake.
The
best move is bishop G7, but White's not losing. It's pretty. Believe it or not, the engine gives 0.00, but that's it's still a very complicated position. Anything could happen. You know? So he did take on G4. What did White play?
E7.
E7. Who said that?
Me.
Correct.
It was Spassky said it.
Yes. That's
Well, it's worth pointing out Spassky is still alive.
Yeah.
yeah, indeed. Yeah. 84.
Yeah.
So now he captures there. So it's only a rook down at this stage, as well as multiple pawns. There's compensation, shall we say? So obviously, if he moves, I mean, he's got a problem here. He moves his king, he's losing his queen. So he has to play knight takes d7, knight to d7 rather. Then white takes there. King c7. Bishop f4. Knight e5. So he's only the exchange down now, as well as multiple pawns. What does white play here?
Queen G7.
Yeah, correct. Boris Spassky. So that's really game over. But he plays on by inertia really. And now he resigned, probably a bit shell shocked.
Wow.
So that's a nice attacking game, right?
Yeah.
But that takes some courage to play like that, I think, as well. When you're a favourite, also, you know. So I thought that was quite nice. But well done getting some of the moves, everybody.
Mark, I just saw a move there as you were moving on. After Queen G7.
What point?
When White played Queen G7.
Yeah.
Was there a possibility of knight f3 check?
I think White had a knight d5 check.
Yeah, he's got knight d5.
Oh yes,
take it,
yes.
Which is just as well. Otherwise, you get mated.
Yeah. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah. I think after knight g4, it's just lost basically. Not obvious though, is it? But yeah, bishop g7 holds, but he's not. Black's not winning though, nonetheless. So one of the things about this sort of approach is that, you know, if Black managed to get his pawn through, he's winning. But meanwhile, he's got to not get mated, you know, or lose his queen. So let's try the next one then. Oops, next game. Okay, this is I'm afraid he's white again here. This is against Vladas Mikenas, who people should know from the Mikenas variation of against the Benoni, playing against the Benoni with the early pawn advances. And he plays some quite nice games in his own right.
I think he liked the Albin, didn't he? I recall Mikenas sometimes.
Yes.
He very much did. And funnily enough, this is one such game. Quite right. Very good, yeah. This was a game played in Riga. So Spassky white again, I'm afraid. There you go, Paul.
It's what I play sometimes.
He plays e4.
That's his variation, isn't it? I think, yeah.
G5. Well, this must be some sort of theory, because I think, you know, anyway, G5, yeah.
I've never had anyone play that E4 against me. It was obviously popular in his time, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that he even knew about the Albin, because there was no notion that there wasn't much preparation with it. You carted loads of informers around with you, but so he plays f5. Knight takes e5. Knight f3. Should be b4 check. Knight d2. Knight c6. d3. g4. So where's the knight going to go?
G1 looks one square.
Yeah. Well, or the other is to leave it where it is, which he does.
Mhm.
So as Cafferty remarks in the book, this is sort of a Muzio Gambit type.
Muzio now.
Yeah. Of course, Spassky being a famous King's Gambit player with great success. So this is the piece, okay. Yeah, but that's a bit exposed on his king side, but he's not the go king side necessarily. But E5.
Wow.
Get the centre open while his king's still there.
Mhm.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Now it's looking a bit tricky already. Like 6, bishop G5, castle king side, queen B3 check, king H8, rook E1. Wow, what do you reckon? Who do you rather beat, black or white? Yeah, I'll go for white.
Probably white.
Even though it's a piece down. One of the thing is what that bishop's trapped.
Yes.
So he takes that off, gives it back. Oops. He plays bishop C6 here. I mean, he's losing anyway, but that's a piece. So he had no fear, Spassky. You know, I mean, whether that sound that piece that hardly matters. You know, it's very hard for black, and that's all you need to know, really. So yeah, I quite like that. So if I ever play you again, Paul, I'll be looking at that one.
He resigned at this point, did he? Or
yeah, he's losing a piece on G4.
Right. Because I think Canis looks quite an attacking player as well, but Spassky, like you say,
he is. Yeah, he was. But, Spassky was if he could be bothered, was a class above people. You know, a lot of people like that.
It might be of some interest that I looked up the G5 move, the history of it.
Oh,
and it goes back to Schlechter, who played it at the turn of the century.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
I had no idea it was that old. Okay, interesting.
Well, in fact, it's easy to sort of think that the guys knew about this, but it may be that they found it independently. It's not.
Yes.
As to that, I don't know. But yes, it's quite an old book, but I knew.
No, I've got that one.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got
it's
that.
in there, is it? Wow.
Yes. It was a Batsford book, wasn't it? And Lamford worked for Batsford's.
It had Schlecter's latest games in it, I take it.
I've got a book on Schlechter. Shall I go? I've got a book on Schlechter. Yeah.
It's
It's
very
for now for speaking to me like
Who
that.
And James,
I've got
sorry,
I've got one on Albin by, was it Ercan or something? His trips to America. So it has a little bit on his Albin counter gambit when he started it off.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'd like to point out that not only is Boris Spassky still alive, but he has a Facebook page. And if you go to Facebook and you search for him, you find his page. And I've just left him a message inviting him to join us this evening, giving him the Zoom coordinates.
Oh, God.
It's quite late at night, I think.
I hope so, Paul.
He might be on during our intermission, and
As I've produced it roundly, you know.
I think we should send him the video of this.
Yeah, I'll send him a link to the video. That'd be brilliant.
Yep, he's got the page on Facebook.
Oh, thanks, Paul. Cheers, mate.
No,
I won't be forgetting that, Paul.
You'll be hearing from his lawyers.
Yes, quite. Thank you, mate. Right, let's go back. Next game is very well known. I'm going to show it anyway. I just don't care. So this is Spassky Bronstein, a King's Gambit. I think we all know.
I knew that was coming.
I know, but it's still a great game.
How appropriate with the James Bond film being released.
Quite so. Don't say too much, James. I want to see. I suppose everybody knows it, but So what James Bond film? James, don't answer. What James Bond film was the final position used in?
From Russia with Love.
Yeah, and who was playing the Spassky side? And who was playing the?
Bronstein McAdams.
Well played, Colin.
Brilliant.
And everybody else probably just. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Yeah, but there we go.
Mm.
Does he play? I've got various commenting. I don't want to spend too much time on them. Wait a minute. 97. Well, you don't get cancelled, yeah. Okay. I mean, it's easy to criticise a lot of these moves, but this was I mean, Bronstein had T-end in inverted commas, insofar as this was known really. I mean, a few moves earlier, so this was not a known position to either of them at the time. H6 here. So I played 94. Took on D5. It's C4. 93. C5. E7. Bishop C2 with subtlety.
What's the purpose of Bishop C2?
Sorry?
Why Bishop C2?
He's tooling up
Queen
for
D3?
Queen D3, yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
And indeed he plays it. And Bronstein plays a move now, which we must all be grateful. E2.
Mm.
And those of you who remember this, what did Spassky play here? You know, Colin.
If you do, don't tell us.
I know I did.
I know I did.
Oh, you do. Okay. Okay. Anybody who doesn't know, can they guess? Or either not seen the game or can't remember it. You know.
Rook E1.
Yeah, no, a bit more spectacular than that though. In this
Knight G5 maybe.
Knight D6.
Knight D6. Knight D6.
Knight D6.
And the crowd go wild.
Mm.
What's wrong with pawn takes rook check?
Well, he didn't do it immediately. He did Knight F8.
Mm.
And now Spassky played?
Rook E1.
No. This is the King's Gambit, mate. You don't want to mess around here. Anybody? Go on, Andrew. You remember?
I think you might have played Knight takes F7.
He certainly did.
Ah, don't follow that.
And now he took it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Queen on this, yeah.
Well, back to rook up, but the rook on A8 is not doing much, is it?
Not a lot. No.
No.
And he's all over the white squares, you know.
Yeah, King.
However, he's still got to finish it off.
Does the queen move somewhere?
He played Bishop F5 actually, but I'm going to show what happens if King takes Knight.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to remember now. Okay, anybody?
Oh,
probably rook takes F8.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, and then bishop
Wow.
b3. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think he can do it the other way around. Actually, I think he can. I've not checked this, by the way. Can he do this first? Like, yeah.
Not checked, is
Not
it?
forcing, who is it?
No, it's not. Sorry, I'm braving. Sorry. Yeah, I was trying to get it such a way that you could play knight d6 mate, but no, you can do that. Yeah. So that would have been the finish that.
Mm.
I'm a bit disappointed that Bronstein didn't allow that actually,
Hmm.
because he was a player of artistic bent as well.
Mm.
So he played bishop
Bishop
f5.
f5. Mm.
Yeah. So Boris took it. He played queen d7. So he's trying to gain the tempo on the queen. So queen f4, bishop f6, knight 3 e5. So also material balance. I mean, he's got the exchange for pawn on the really. I'm really surprised Boris didn't resign, to be honest. But okay. Played queen e7. Might play bishop b3.
Yeah.
Played bishop e5. Knight e5 check. I think it was round here that Constantine got the drink of water with the note saying it was immediately needed. And he played queen e4 check, and that was that. So I love knight d6. I also like the mate, which was in the sub variation. So yeah, I think that's just a great game.
What happens now? King h8. What's the finish?
Well, we'll have the queen for a start.
Knight g6.
Well,
Sorry.
knight takes knight.
No, rook takes knight check. Rook takes knight check.
Oh yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
I hadn't prepared that, unfortunately, but yeah, rook takes knight check. Yeah. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Nothing else. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Knight fought.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just amazing. Right. So let's try the next one. Okay. Who we got this? Who we got this time? Oh, this is Boris against Larry Evans of the USA from the Varna Olympiad A final. I hope I've got this right. I think Larry, if anybody who knows Fisher's 60 Memorable Games, the sort of introductory rubric at the front of each game, I think that's Larry Evans who wrote that. Does anybody?
Yes, it is.
It is,
yes.
right. Thank you. Yeah. Obviously, Fisher, all the analysis is Fisher's, but the rubric is Evans. So Spassky white again, I'm afraid. Sorry, chaps. So this is Olympiad final, and he's playing a strong grandmaster, and he's just going for it.
He just makes chess look very simple, doesn't he?
He does. He really does. Yeah, it looks like this is. There's an inevitability about this attack, you know.
Yeah.
So he's, actually, when you look at it now, he's only 2 pawns down for this position. And
Yeah.
it's a bit more reasonable now, doesn't it? Than it did
And
earlier
look,
on.
and look at Black's development. He's got no
Yeah,
pieces
quite.
now.
Yeah, look at his king. I mean, but it didn't look quite like that when he started doing it. You know, it's quite so interesting. Ooh.
Whoa.
Wow.
And that's game over. He actually took on e5, which was a bit of a surprise to me. But
Give the king an escape square, I suppose.
yeah,
Tried to anyway.
yeah. So he played rook f8 check, and then he resigned. So if queen takes g8 mate, and anything else queen e6 mate. So yeah. But I mean, that's a brutal destruction of a strong grandmaster, isn't it? That's just frightening. So he had no fear, Spassky, with the attacking play. Someone who was thought to be not a very attacking player when he was young, when he was very young. That's a bit surprising, I was feel.
I liked his comment about Korchnoi. I think it's in the that book of Spassky Korchnoi Tau. It's a McFarlane book, but somewhere in there it said that he was asked about Korchnoi, and he said Korchnoi spends the first part of the game putting all these pieces on the wrong squares, and then spends the next part of the game trying to put them back onto the right squares.
Well, I have a game against Korchnoi, although it's slightly, you do me under the trade description, so it's not quite an attacking game, but it's an interesting game anyway. And that's in fact the next game. Just dig it out. Where's it gone? Share. When he was younger, I think he unbelievably he played Korchnoi. It was gave some sort of simultaneous exhibition, and he beat Spassky, and Spassky cried afterwards, which he tended to do when he lost when he was younger. So he got some revenge here.
I think it was a clock symbol.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, the game is quite often given. Yeah.
I don't know it, but yeah, I know that he wasn't very happy about it.
I think it was a dragon.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Korchnoi played everything, didn't he? I mean, he was.
Yeah.
I assume this must have been theory at the time because it's very specific. So Spassky obviously white again as ever, until I say otherwise. So black looks okay here, right?
Yeah.
So he's pressuring d6, so 98. h4. He's a big fan of h4, isn't he?
This is even pre-Simon Williams.
It is, yeah. So now he plays c5. This is a tremendously strong move, actually, positional move. Tactical as well, of course. So what would you play here as black?
Ooh.
Well, what would you want to play as black?
I'd like to play d5, but I'd be.
I'm going to show you. He didn't play that.
Oh.
Right. Nice.
Of course, I saw all of this.
Yes.
Yeah, in a second, really.
Queen b3. And
Oh.
Yeah. Wait, though. Rook b8. Bishop takes. Bishop takes.
Well, it's check, isn't it?
Rook takes queen. Rook takes bishop. Rook takes rook. Rook takes rook. c6.
Yeah.
Can't be stopped.
I thought
Bishop d6.
Sorry? Oh no, yeah.
Bishop d6.
Yeah. Okay. Bishop d6. What's White's next move?
That's at rook d1.
Rook d1.
That's a better move.
With the rook.
Not with the rook, no.
No, that's what I mean.
With the king.
Yes.
Oh, you're king d2, haven't you?
Yeah, traps the rook.
That poor old.
On a quasi open board.
That poor old rook.
Yeah.
God.
And now bishop c5, c7. You know, and that's yeah, rather nice, I thought. Now I've got to get my way back to where I was before. So it's a positional move you know, but it's informed by the tactics, you know, as ever. So yeah, c5. So black played rook f7, I believe.
Ooh.
White played queen a4, queen c7, bishop c4, takes. So this looks pretty good for White, and in fact, it is pretty good for White, but not winning, you know. So yet.
Materialism.
Knight c7. Oops, sorry. Knight c7. Oops, sorry. And this is a nice move. I like this move. It's nothing spectacular.
Just seen it. Queen B6.
Queen where? Queen.
Queen B6. I saw what he played.
Correct. Oh, you saw it. Oh, sorry. Quick. Queen B6. Yeah. And that's this is there was a book that was around when I first started playing chess called not quite when I first started playing, but not long after, called Think Like a Grandmaster by Alexander Kotov, which has got some really weird stuff about analysis trees. But apart from that, one thing he talks about is creeping moves, and that's an example of a creeping move. And we shall see now.
And giddy.
So black would like to play Queen E6, and when the queen was on C6, that will be a problem for white. But now, if he plays Queen E6, then Bishop C5, because the bishop is now protecting the queen, which it wasn't before. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was the point of that move. It's not a winning move. It's just a nice move which puts black under a bit more pressure. You play King G7, Knight D5. I think this is really bad news for black in this position. But he played Queen A6, but probably taking bits off, and he's dropping the C pawn. He can make white work in the rook ending, but it's got to be winning. So now we'll have the pawn.
Yeah.
But all those pieces on the board, it's still quite difficult.
Better for black.
Well, he's a pawn down, but black's got he's got some
chances.
Chances, yeah. Right, C7. No, this is a mistake. I mean, it's still difficult for him, but he can play on, And then he plays Knight E6 check. Black plays.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
The thing is, he's been playing this positional. Okay, you've had the tactics, but he's been playing this positional game, and then suddenly it's just bam. I mean, obviously King H7 is not a great move, but still, he's been. I think Cavalier opines he might have been in time trouble. He might have been. I think it's the pressure he's been under. He takes. He's a big analyst, isn't he, Korchnoi?
He didn't have a choice, though, did he? He didn't have. He had to go. If he'd gone king back to the H8 to G8 or something, rook C8 check was strong, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's just a lost position.
Already lost. Yeah.
Now that's why Queen E2's not great. It's still probably lost anyway. It's just a bit more work for white. That's all. It's still this is the sort of game I like. There's a nice little previous move, lots of nice positional play, and then bam at the end.
Totally unexpected.
Yeah. Well, it's all yeah. I mean, obviously Corfu didn't see it because he was well, because he was looking for counterplay, wasn't he? He was looking for making it hard for white. So anyway, I not really in the second game, but I quite like the finish. I quite like Queen B6. So
I don't imagine Korchnoi stood and applauded Queen H6.
Hey, not
if you know Korchnoi, he probably told Spassky what he'd done wrong the whole game afterwards and gave him a good talking to. Wasn't that his trick?
Korchnoi must have been one of the worst losers amongst the greatest of players, bracketed in with Alekhine. I know he lost to one of the little Polgar girls, and he went absolutely bonkers. I will never lose to you again. And she used about 9 at the time.
On that one occasion, he knocked the pieces over, James.
Oh, I can believe that.
It was quite because you saw him around. He was at London Chess Classic when he was a lot older, but he's a very affable sort of chap. Long as he's not losing game of chess, you know.
Well, I played him in a simul at London, and he wasn't very gracious in victory, let alone defeat. It was about 11:30 at night though, and he probably thought I'd been mucking him around for too long.
Did he give you some stick?
What did he say? Yeah.
No, it was a bit. No, he was grumpy.
Oh right, okay. Yeah.
I played him in that as well. I played him in that simul, and I should have won. I missed a win actually.
Oh no.
And then it was probably a draw, and then then I got up, and then I thought actually I can win this, but he tricked me, and he tricked it back to a win for him in the ending. But
Did he talk to you afterwards, Andrew? Did he talk to you?
No, he was not in a. I think there were still some kids playing on the board beside, and he got quite grumpy with the kid for not resigning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he didn't.
That wasn't Colin then.
His wife actually sent him back to shake my hand afterwards.
Oh right, okay, that's good.
She sent him
Oh,
back.
yeah.
Oh, shake that man's hand. So
That's nice, isn't it?
but I had a chance, and
Oh, bummer. Yeah, it's really annoying, that, isn't it? When you...
but I played him in the. I think in my. Did you see in? I don't know if anyone's seen the chess magazine last month, but there's a bit about the book I did, and also they asked me lots of questions and give a couple of positions. So, but I think it's one of the questions was something about a famous play you played, and I mentioned I played Korchnoi in a 5-minute game at Isle of Man. I was an arbiter at the time when I was there, and I just in the bar area I said, "Oh, do you fancy a 5-minute game?" And he said, "Oh yeah, okay, let's okay." But I think he thought, because I was an arbiter, I think he thought I was a complete beginner, and he was all quite jolly, quite chatty, and as an audience started to gather immediately, and then suddenly he played the French defence, and I got this a castle kingside, a massive kingside attack, and gradually his mood, you could see it changing when he suddenly realised what's going on here, and suddenly he went silent, started concentrating for a few moves, and within a few moves he'd refuted my attack, and I lost. But he was definitely worried for a few moments. He was very worried.
Well, in front of a big crowd, big crowd, somebody thinks he's an arbiter. You know, that's
yeah.
It's one thing losing to Boris, but it's another thing losing to an arbiter. You know, I don't even know you could beat him. You know. Okay, should we take a break? Should we take a brief break now, Steve? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Sorry, okay. I was on mute. Yes, that's a good idea. 5 to 9. So let's break until 5 past.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank
you. See you back soon.
Yeah. Just check we stop the recording, I guess, and restart later. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I think Martin says it's okay if we just carry on recording. It makes his editing job somewhat easier, actually.
Okay.
So just leave it running.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. I think it helps him work out the times easier.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, Steve, I didn't do anything, and it actually started recording automatically. So I quickly stopped it and that's why it sort of stopped, and then I asked again because
that's strange.
That was without me touching anything. I had my hands nowhere near the keyboard, and it just suddenly said, "We're about." Yeah.
That's artificial intelligence, is it? I mean,
with your mind.
Yeah, it could have been. I don't understand it. I'll have to have a look at that. Maybe there's some setting, but it didn't seem to be, 10 minutes or, it's like 8 minutes. Anyway.
It's probably worth having a debrief with John at some point.
Yeah, I did. I was planning to do that yesterday, but yeah. So if that's okay then. And by the way, when I've got the chat window up, Steve, that's when I didn't notice Tony come back in because it's small. When I turned the chat window off, Gordon dropped out, and when Gordon came back in, it sort of came. It put an alert sort of almost at the center of the screen. So that would be the way to do it, because I there was no way of missing that. So
okay,
yeah, right.
Yeah, I had internet problems sort of early on. Something happened with my phone. My wife just then decided to unplug the router. So,
well, apologies for the delay. I think Steve had to remind me that you might be trying to get in again, so I didn't see that. But
well, I tend to keep my eye on the number of participants, particularly as the number grows. Yeah. Because I try and make a note of keep a log of everyone who joins. But when the number goes down, I try and work out
why.
Work out who's gone and if it looks like an intended departure or a dropout.
Yeah. Well, if you just excuse me, I'm going to get a cup of tea. Let me second.
If anyone plays the Albin counter gambit, there's a book by Luke Henry, Luchhenris. It's called A Complete Albin Counter Gambit. I think it runs to over 700 pages.
Wow.
It's almost like an encyclopedic. Not that I play it and I wouldn't buy it, but it's quite an expensive book. But and I think there's someone else that's expert on the Albin counter gambit. He's done a DVD about it, isn't there? I've forgotten what his name is now. Lawrence Trent. Lawrence Trent plays it, doesn't he?
And it featured in the final game of the Queen's Gambit on Netflix.
Did it?
Yeah, that's absolutely, yeah.
That was the opening that they portrayed. The Russian Grandmaster playing against Beth Harmon. The positions that they then used on the board after the opening phase actually arose from a different opening. I think Paul went through that game in the lecture he gave about the Queen's Gambit. But because of course they used real games and real positions.
Yeah.
In that series, but the one they used in that final game, whilst it was purportedly an Albin counter gambit, it actually wasn't, and you couldn't get to the positions they used by transposition.
Aren't they being sued now or something?
They are.
It won't hold up. That's ridiculous.
By the ex-world women's champion, wasn't it?
Yes.
She's got a very good case. She was defamed.
No, she wasn't.
Yes, they said in the film that she'd never played male players, and she did. And she
no,
beat.
It means she never played male players in a world championship match, which she didn't.
That's not what they said.
Yes, it is what they said, but she, in translation, it loses its validity. She hasn't got a case. I'll bet you 10p.
You're on.
James is a barrister for the.
Okay, if you lose the bet, James, you'll have to come and do a talk on the games of Nona Gaprindashvili.
Yes.
Actually,
probably quite interesting.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah. I spoke to
none of them against men, though.
My mentor at the weekend, Ken Harmon, well known to some of you, I'd like to think, and he told me he played Nona at the En Passant in Oxford Street when she was over playing at Hastings, and drew with her in a blitz game. So there you are. Make of that what you will.
Well, we better make sure we don't post any defamatory video content about her online. She might sue Camberley Chess Club.
I think somehow I must have got pressed to read
I suspect we've got rather shallower pockets than Netflix.
But because I didn't know it was Julianne, it panicked me a bit. I thought, why is it ringing out all the time?
Yeah. Also,
no, speaking then.
Okay? Yeah, just a bit breathy. Cool. I wanted to let you know. Enjoy your work.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks for that, Tony. That was okay. Entertaining.
Yeah. No, my daughter called up, and there's some sort of family stuff going on, so it was needed to be attended to. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've forgotten that Martin can edit this and take out all the libelous stuff that I've said.
Yeah. There'd be nothing left.
Well, all that stuff, like he was quite a decent player when he could be bothered.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah. Well, no, but his motivation wasn't the same as a lot of strong chess players
I
always
don't
do
think
it.
I doubt he'd argue with you on that point.
No.
I mean, when he played Fischer, wasn't it the case that he could have effectively claimed the match by default at one point? And I think the Russians wanted him to do that, but he chose to play on.
Yes, there was a point at which Geller, as head of the delegation, Spassky, I think Spassky had had enough of the whole lot, except for the actual games of chess. And he said, no, I will play. And they needed his cooperation. They couldn't put a gun to his temple.
I think the Russians weren't very happy at the end of that match, were they, with him? So I think he couldn't go abroad for a year or something. He wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
He lost face, I suppose.
Well, the first Soviet player ever to lose to an outsider, wasn't he?
Well, he
but
lost.
also standing up and applauding the game by his opponent after the game, which is a very sporting thing to do, an amazing thing to do, really, in a World Championship match. But not looking good for the Russians, is it? Really, for the Soviets, I should say.
Right, are we ready to get started again?
Yeah.
It's 5 past, so Mark, back to you.
Okay, this is, I'm afraid, another very well-known game. For those of you who've seen it.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, but, you know. and Spassky is black in this one.
Who?
This is against Larson from the USSR versus rest of the world match, where
it's in that,
where Fischer agreed to play ball 2 because he hadn't played for 2 years, and he wanted to play ball 1. Larson objected, so Larson played 1. I'm not sure which game this was of the 4 they played, but
no, they didn't play 4 games. Spassky
they played 3.
out.
He dropped out. Yeah, you're right. 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he drew 1, didn't he? Or lost 2, something like that. Anyway, obviously Larson is playing the Nimzo Larson. Spassky's favourite move?
H5.
He likes that, doesn't he? He does like it. Who can blame him? H3. Now, this is an interesting line here. So knight c3 is a move you would think you would want to play.
Yep.
And black plays.
H4.
No, something.
Bishop takes e3.
Nice try.
Knight takes e3.
Anybody else?
I think I saw it, but I'm not going to say what it is.
Rook takes e2.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Correct.
Bloody hell.
And
Language.
yeah, pretty scary.
Oh, that was Spassky. That's what Spassky said at the yeah.
Oh, you were quoting. You were quoting.
I don't speak Danish, so I didn't know what Larson said.
Yes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the words are in Danish, but yeah. So that's very strong attack for black. So and he obviously saw that. He don't want to play h3, but it's just a difficult position if he can't play knight c3.
He must. White has played. So
can we just have a look at that after knight rook takes d2?
Yeah. What happens after queen takes rook?
Queen takes. Oh. The queen. Yeah. Queen takes rook.
It's a lot to sacrifice, isn't it?
It is.
Bishop takes e3.
Yeah.
If you're hard enough.
So.
Yes.
Where's the queen going?
Where are you going now?
Back to c2.
c2.
And now what? Oh, sugar.
Oh, we've got the fork on e3.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Not so clever. Okay, don't go back to c2 then.
I knew it was
wrong. Where do you want to go?
Nowhere else.
Tricky.
Oh, an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just tremendous.
Yeah.
And obviously, Larson saw that because you wouldn't play anything other than knight if you're in that position if you try and get castled. If you know, you have to play h3 eventually, but play it when you've got some pieces there. Anyway, h3. So, I mean, does anybody remember what black played here?
Yeah. Plays h4.
Played h4, yes.
H4, yeah. So he had it off. Black took there. Obviously, rook takes rook is problematic because he can't get his king out of the way. So he played rook g1.
Ah, yes.
And now
Oh,
comes.
no, he didn't. Sorry, he played rook f1. I apologise. Played rook f1. Did he play rook f1? I got that right. No, he played rook g1. Sorry, I'm raving. He played rook g1, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
And black played.
E2.
One of the most famous moves in chess history.
Rook
E2.
h1.
Rook h1. So anybody who doesn't know the game, and there may be none of you, why is he playing rook h1? What's the point of it?
Gain a tempo.
For anybody who doesn't know the game, what? Yeah, okay. Gain a tempo, correct. So he's now a piece and a rook down to gain a tempo. And here he played rook f1. It's academic at this point. Queen h4 check.
He's busted.
King d1. And now we'll take it off. And queen. And at this point, Larson resigned. After 17 moves. It's the 17th move. Because of?
Cafferty's book says one of the most startling games of modern times.
Oh, does he? Okay, I can't remember what he said. Yeah, what he does do. Oh, I've got it here. What I wanted to do actually afterwards, having shown the game. I mean, this is an amazing game. And okay, Spassky, you know, Larson pushes out the risk boat in a major way, but he did it all the time. You know, he did it against Spassky before and beat him. So,
but don't you think in this game he played it more provocatively, a bit like the Reti Capablanca, in as much that the knight f3 was to lure the e-pawn further.
Of course, yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
But
yeah.
Larson continued to play this treatment for some time, but I don't think he ever went back to that. And to do it on such an occasion was either, you know, if it had won, it would have been brilliant, and if it had lost, it's foolhardy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very famous game in which he beat Spassky, a long game, which was he played the birds opening, but he played but he played b4. That was his special variation.
Yes,
so he played b4.
Yes,
and that's a pretty risky extending move. He did quite well with it, but Spassky though, you know, Spassky only blundered right near the end after a long session. But
yeah, Larson said he'd already qualified, and so therefore in the interzone, yes, it was the interzonal. So he thought it'd make it something special against Boris.
Well, he just kept pressing, and he had the advantage all the time, and eventually he wasn't winning till right near the end, but he was pressing. That's the point, you know. But he would take, he played all sorts of openings, wouldn't he? I mean, this was too much. Obviously, it was a step too far, but it requires some great play to prove it, though, right?
Did Larson win the rematch in the rest of the world match?
No. He lost one and drew one, I think. Then he dropped down.
Okay.
Well, Stein played in the last round against Larson and lost, I think. And Spassky didn't play at all.
Right.
They rested him because they didn't want to risk a minus score on top board. So
well, against Fischer. Well, don't forget, as I said before.
No. Sorry, you misunderstand. He was playing Larson. He was scheduled to play Larson 4 games, wasn't he? And he actually only played him 3, and they rested him in the last round.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually drew 1.5 of the 3 games.
Oh, was it? I thought it was 3. Okay, apologise.
No, Larson won the 3rd game.
Yes, that's
okay. I knew Spassky won 2. I didn't realise he won 1.
To have the optimism to come back after that loss, one of the worst games.
Yeah. I mean, the Constitution to do it. You know,
I know it's just amazing, Larson.
Yeah.
Could we have a quick look at that position after G2, please, Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to go back.
If he plays rook G1, presumably rook H8,
Well, let me get back to it.
Oh, I
sorry.
don't know about that. What about still playing it?
Oh, Queen H4 check straight
Queen
away.
H4 is enormous.
It is.
Queen
Queen
H1.
F2. Queen F2. All that, yeah.
So that's that. That's that. I think.
You don't
Yeah.
say.
What I'm going to do is just go through in the game. Somebody kept the times. I don't know who it was of the moves. And
Oh
it said
yes,
it's gonna-
that's in Keen's book on 1B3.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it's called chromatization or some stupid made-up word.
Oh,
Yes.
Well, it's in Cavity's book actually, but I don't know. I'm not very clear to me who took the notes. An official, I suppose. So very quickly.
Yeah.
Do you know who it was who recorded the times?
No, it doesn't say.
It was actually Bronstein.
No, it doesn't say that. It's
No.
Bronstein's idea, but it wasn't him to do it. But it doesn't say it was him who did it.
It is in Keen's book on 1B3, but that doesn't invalidate what you said. Please don't.
Oh no, I apologise. You're quite right. Yeah, you're quite right. Sorry. Okay, so E4 now. Where are we? Right. So knight. He played knight of 3. This is less than 1 minute. So you know he obviously he wasn't thinking at this point. So this is what he wants. So 1 minute. Bishop 4. That was after 4 minutes.
Hmm.
And that took another 4 minutes for Spassky. That's 3 minutes for Larson. Queen King 2 1 minute. Bishop B2 5 minutes, which I suspect means he knew he was about to be in trouble. But Castle's Queenside 4 minutes. By Spassky. Yeah, F4 maybe a bit dodgy. I don't know. That was 2 minutes though. Only 2 minutes. Another 4 minutes for Spassky playing. It's all playing knight to knight G4 because this is all very committal. I mean, it's right. So yeah, pawn to knight 3 took Larson 15 minutes. So you can see his time increasing in this position. Pawn to king at 4 was 18 minutes for Spassky. H3 was 6 minutes for Larson. And H4.
You say 18 minutes for H5?
Yeah.
Because
it wasn't.
He was probably working out what happened after H4, whether he could play H4, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
It says 6 minutes here.
No. Pawn to H5 was 18 minutes. H3 was 6 minutes.
I do apologise. I never learned how to do notation. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, H4 and 6.
So H4 was 6 minutes. Now you think he looked at all that before he played H5, but he's just checking it again, I think.
Yeah.
Which you can understand, because you make a mistake at this point, and
what's known in the trade is no turning back.
So remember, White played pawn takes knight here. How long did he take? Don't tell me. Anybody? Don't say James. Anybody or Mark? What did he play? He played pawn takes knight. How long did that take him? Have a guess.
Minute.
53 minutes.
53.
Yeah.
So
that means he knows he's lost it. He's worked out what's going on.
Realised he's in trouble.
First, realised now there's absolutely no other defence really. So
yeah, he knows he's lost, but he's just making sure that Spassky plays it.
Wouldn't Bishop takes knight have been better? At least remove some of the threats.
No, it's basically the same. It still loses. I mean, it might have been better, but I don't know what he was doing really.
But what was Larson's biggest balls up? I mean, it seems
that Cavity claims F4.
Yeah.
Was a mistake.
As early as that?
Yeah, that's what he claims is a mistake. Yeah.
F4 and G3 look dodgy to me.
Yes, well, this is right because it was. he was obviously going to be as provocative as possible, being Larson. He wasn't, you know, get out of that.
Well, what he said after pawn to knight 3, what Cafferty's comment is, at last Larson realised the seriousness of his position. Bishop takes knight, queen to f5 check, pawn to knight 3, queen takes bishop, will even chronically weak on the white squares. So
Larson scored 2.5 out of 4 on board 1 in this competition.
It was, yeah, he beat Stein. He was 1.5 each against Spassky, and then he won in the last round against Leonard Stein, who was reserve but was brought in because they didn't want Spassky to play.
But as James said, we talked about earlier on, you know, after losing a game like this, the constitutional fortitude is remarkable.
It is.
Carry on like that.
That was him at Larson at his most optimistic.
Well, optimistic. I think it's more than that. I think it's iron will and constitution, and you know.
Yes.
Not if he's got that.
The rest of the world won over the top 4 boards.
Okay, hang on. So let's just. I just want to go on and finish the time. Sorry. Right. So before we played Rook to Rook 8, he thought for 17 minutes. And the comment Cafferty makes is here. Apparently, the excitement in the hall transmitted itself to Spassky, and he spent some time checking whether White had any defence. The answer is no. So I think he must have been analysing this before he played H5, but he just couldn't. He just wanted to make sure. I suppose. I don't know.
It's an amazing move.
That took Larson took it 4 minutes, but I'm not sure what else he's got really. So I don't know what he's thinking about there. Regrets probably.
Yeah, he just wanted out.
3 minutes. 4 minutes. Academic.
No, he didn't.
1 minute. 0 minutes. Instantaneous. Yeah, so it's interesting that he took 17 minutes before playing Rook to Rook 8, because he must have seen it when he played H5, I think. He had a pretty big thing then. But it's quite in this particular game. It's not always interesting, but in this particular game, I think the times are interesting.
Could he have played Queen H4 instead of Rook H1? Would that have won as well?
I don't know. I don't think so. Otherwise, at what point?
Instead of Rook H1 here.
Yeah.
If he played Queen H4 instead, would that have been good as well?
Yeah, it looks good.
Well, in this position?
Yeah.
Good question.
It looks very good.
Does Cafferty answer that question?
I don't know.
Well, perhaps we can. I'm sure Andrew can answer his own question.
Yeah. Have you looked? Yeah. Any thoughts, Andrew? What do you think?
Well, I suppose he'd go Rook G2,
Yeah.
Queen H1 check, Bishop F1, and then maybe Rook H2. Or
it looks very strong, doesn't it?
I mean, it's not as strong as what we played, but I wonder could he have won by playing that as well?
Yeah, it's beginning to look like it, isn't it? Let's have a look.
It could either play Rook H2 or Bishop takes G4.
Can he play D? Can White play D4 here, just as a groveling move?
He played Rook takes G3.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. It's looking strong, Andrew. I must say, it's looking good. I may have to play D4, might I? I don't know what he's going to do otherwise. Actually, play knight C3 here. It's got to be horrible, right? What's the material balance? Oh no, this is just awful. This must be winning for that.
It'd be better to resign, I think.
Yeah.
As Donna would say, resigns is stronger.
I mean, bear in mind that Black's still got a piece hanging. If he's got no immediate threats, you've got that piece hanging on the F5 still. So.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Nice.
So let's do that again. We play Queen H4. Yeah, can we take that? Is that it looks a bit like fiddling while Rome's burning, but I mean he's gonna play G2 and he knows what he's gonna play. Queen, okay, let's take that. What does Black play here?
G2.
Yes, G2 is check, isn't it? So
Queen F2.
Yeah, Queen H1 still. Yeah.
Or Queen F2.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks good, doesn't it? Looks good.
Oh, its pieces are just. Oh.
Yeah, but it still requires. I mean, it still requires. I mean, you know, that's way quite. This looks like a complete crush. It looks like what's Green Duffer, but if Black played a bit less aggressively, he might have got away with it. You know, he did get away with these sorts of things regularly. You know, as other players. I just want to see if I can put. Let me just see if I can put the. Can I put the rotation on? Can I put the engine on? Does it give anything in here? This is in chess brace.
Sure, it will. Yes.
Queen H4, Rook G2. What does it give now? 15, 16. Where is it?
Rook G.
Queen H1 check.
What's wrong with Queen H1 winning a rook? Well, I suppose.
Well, it's quite smooth.
It's
Oh no, it's not. Sorry, wait. Rook G2. I'm trying to see what it gives. Queen H1 check, Bishop F1. Bishop G4.
Then Queen E4.
Queen E4. Okay, yeah, it's still been crushing though.
This is another world, isn't it?
F6, Knight C3. Better for Black.
He's trying to castle.
Let me see if I can put. Can I put
Mark,
an engine?
have you seen the engine gives a different move rather than Queen H1?
Yeah, fine.
Queen.
I'm trying to see if this. What he says slightly better for Black, but it looks better than that. No, he's quite right. Okay. No, 1.6. Yeah, okay. Let's go back to
Slightly better than Larson losing out of hand.
What do you want to vote? Queen H4, you think instead of Rook G2? No, okay, instead of Queen H1.
It's suggesting Queen takes G4 here, believe it or not. It's quite an amazing move.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see that.
Mind you, it follows it up with Rook H1 anyway, so that's interesting, isn't it?
That's mate, isn't it?
Oh.
Rook G1. So now he plays Rook H1 anyway.
I can't stand it anymore.
You can't say the Queen because it's mate anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's playing Rook H1 anyway, just different move order. And with a spectacular Queen sack. Maybe he should have gone for this. Looks like
Yeah, it was proclaimed as one of the greatest games of the 20th century, but in 10 seconds we've destroyed it. It's rubbish.
Yeah, these beginners, I don't know what they're like.
Yeah, these.
It's one of the
They find themselves
with engines and stuff. Everybody thinks everything's, you know, they can find holes in it, but these are people. That wasn't what chess was like before. We forget, you know, what computer engines have done to it. You know.
I prefer Rook H1.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
I'd be happy to play Queen G4 and Rook H1. That would have been good. I think Rook H1 is fewer moves. Right. Okay. I've got some more, but what time have we got?
There's a recent.
You've got half an hour. Yeah.
I've got quite a few. I'm going to nip through a few a bit more quickly. Okay. Is that okay?
There's a recent book on this, wasn't there? Come out on this match.
Yeah. John showed it to us, and when I talked about it in the previous presentation, I think
He's done a review on it as well.
yeah, there's a 50th anniversary book.
It looks quite an expensive tome, though.
It was, yes, that it was.
All right. I'm just going to show a few a bit more quickly this time. Sorry about that, Chaz. I want to get through. I've got to take away the notation now. Huh? That was me.
Colin.
Any football scores, Andrew?
I'm gonna watch them when we finish. I'm recording.
Oh, okay, right, okay, yeah. Okay, this is a game against Ove Kinmark from a Gothenburg tournament. It was a brilliancy prize winner.
Who?
Nobody heard of Kinmark. KOW.
Oh, right.
Was that the Instonal, Mark?
I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
It's just a tournament. They don't normally give brilliancy prize things to Zonal, I don't think, do they? I don't know why. But...
I don't think this is a tournament. I think it's a symbol, isn't it?
I don't think so. Kim Mark's 24-10 player, but it could be. I mean, he won a brilliancy prize in the tournament, so I don't think it can be a symbol. They wouldn't give Spassky a brilliancy prize, would they? I've got a feeling. I wish I could put these variations in because it's getting in the way. Okay. Yeah, he played Bishop F6.
You're quite right. It's a
F4.
It's a proper tournament, and Spassky finished third.
But he still won the brilliancy prize.
Good.
Knight F5. Repeating theme. Okay, let's just look at this. Queen. So he's threatening mate. No, by the way, Queen G4 is an inaccuracy, but I won't go into any detail.
Once again, Black's not developing his pieces.
No. Well, you don't win brilliancy prizes if White doesn't do something like that. I'm afraid that's the or Black, whoever it is right. Oh, this is nice. So he's played this, and the king's on. So he plays Knight H7. There's 2 minor pieces on please. Obviously, rook takes isn't acceptable.
Queen takes bishop.
That's what he played. And what does White play here? What would you play here?
Queen H4 check.
Oh, hang on.
I'm not sure.
No, it's quite complicated, isn't it? I would say lots of choices.
F5.
Give you a clue. It's a pawn move. Is that a good clue?
Is it just like play F5 here?
Yeah.
F5.
Yeah.
Completely crushing.
Yeah.
It energizes the rook. I suppose. F5.
Well, yeah, and exposes the king and keeps the queen away from. Now he's attacking G6 again when the queen was protecting it before. He played Queen A6 here, which is sort of, I suppose, most of it is protecting it from the other direction. He played Knight G5 check. King G8. Now he played Queen H4. Knight F6. FG6. And this is looking bleak, right? I mean, this is not good. As Ben Feigl says, there's good and there's not good, and this is not good. So he played King G7.
Rook takes knight.
Well, you would think. You would think. I'm pretty sure that wins as well, but he actually played Knight H7.
Wow.
At which point, Black resigned. Yeah.
Is rook takes knight a forced win? Sorry,
Is what? Sorry.
Is rook takes knight a forced win?
It's a black move. It's Black's a move.
I don't know. You have to play.
The queen guards F1. You can't play after rook takes. You can't play rook F1, can you?
Queen takes.
No, take with the rook.
Well, queen takes his mate immediately.
H7 mate after queen.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Queen H check.
Well, this is going to be good, isn't it?
Oh, it's still good, yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. But Knight E7 is a nice move, I think.
Yep.
So that's that. Right, this is another game, which is next one is White again, I'm afraid.
Bit of a flat track, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Okay, this is a game. This is a game against a guy called Rashkovsky from the Soviet Championship in Moscow in 1973. So after the Fischer game, he lost even more interest, Spassky, but he could still turn out some pearls if he wanted to. But he was drawing lots of games and losing more. So this became a well-known variation, but I don't think it was at the time. Neidorf.
I think this game was shown on the David Nixon show.
It was exactly. It wasn't. It was a program called Checkmate that he was hosting.
Yes, I meant that. Yes.
Yeah.
David Nixon.
Correct.
What was
Got
that?
good
show?
memory, James. I'd say.
I know. That's why I'm so.
This is all going completely berserk.
Who's David Nixon?
He was a
He was
magician.
a
wasn't he?
magician in the I don't know, ages ago.
He's disappeared now, though.
Well, he's dead. Oh, very witty. Yes, I do the stupid jokes. Whoever said that, get out.
I was going to say I'm a magician. I can make my pieces vanish very easily.
Yeah, quite.
Okay, where are we?
Now, is it?
Yeah, knight takes c3. Play queen g4. This is just mad. Knight takes d1. Next move for white?
Queen takes g7.
No.
Knight takes e6.
Correct.
Oh, diagram.
I mean, this is insane, right? I mean, what is going on? The answers I don't know, by the way, but.
Ooh.
So, are you happy with this attacking game from Spassky then so far? Okay.
Pawn takes knight.
You play pawn takes knight.
I don't see why not.
Well,
Queen
queen
e6.
Queen take pawn.
Oh, queen take queen e6 here.
You got is it?
Queen takes
You got
g7.
bishop g6.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just thought.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. So what you played was you played queen c6, which is interesting. I mean, you can imagine. But I mean, black must have been absolutely. His head must have been spinning in this position. Knight g7 check, king e7. Next move. Queen g5 check. And he played f6, which is. Well, I'll play through the game and we'll come back to this.
I don't like Fs.
And resigns. So going back.
Sorry, why is it resigns?
Why does he resign? Okay.
Took e6 afterwards, I suppose. King d6.
Queen.
No. Oh no.
Knight e6 check.
Oh.
That's winning, isn't it? That's me winning.
Yeah.
Yep,
I must be. I've looked
Only
at
just.
material balances. I mean, I assume winning the queen should be winning. Yeah, there's two knights on page afterwards, so it must be winning. Yeah. Going back to that position though, so you said, James, you didn't like.
Well, I didn't like f6, but I mean, I think I would have played king f8 and prayed on my
I
knees.
assume he played. Hang on a minute. Did I put some analysis? I can't remember.
I was just hoping that white would run out of checks.
Oh, you go e6
Played
now.
knight there.
Or e6.
What now?
No, e6 before instead of knight.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I mean,
e6.
this might be good as well.
Well, e6 first, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that looks good as well, doesn't it?
Threatens e7.
Yeah, that looks good.
Can't allow e7.
No, that's tremendous. Yeah. Amazing game though, I thought. This sort of after this game, in a slightly different line, not quite the setup that White adopted here. This whole thing with pieces on freeze everywhere in knight e6 became. I mean, mostly in the Podolski version of the Neidorf rather than this particular version, but became very popular. Lots of people analysing it left, right, and centre for computers. I'm going to show a quick one now, which is just it's an unusual game to me anyway. So Spassky's black in this one against Kavalek. Yuvomir Kavalek. So he's not interested in a Berlin Wall in those days. So if you're Nimzovich, White has the advantage of the 2 knights. For anybody else, Black has the advantage of the 2 bishops and some open lines. Still, though, it's not, crystal clear. Oh, right, yeah. So what takes knight? So now the knight's on breeze.
It's just another sudden.
Knight e3.
Well, we'll come to that.
Why doesn't you just play Queen H3 check? Well, sorry, Queen H3.
Yeah, that's right. Correct. If it's knight e3, yeah, completely, yeah. Yeah,
Knight
I'll come back
F6.
to that. So in this position,
We can play Queen takes H3 anyway.
No, he can't.
look.
F6 check.
No, come here. No, a minute. What are we saying? If White plays knight e3 here, as Steve
No.
says, Queen. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, come on, referee.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just crushing. But the thing I like about it is that he's protecting. He's trying to not move the knight away for that reason. C4. King H1 out of the way of that one. Rook G5, and that's that. And now the knight has to move, and then Queen takes H3 check is that. But what I like about it is, okay, he's got the 2 bishops, but the dynamism of it, and the way. I don't know, Rook G5 is a nice idea. I think,
I don't think I would have conceived of allowing the exchange on F6.
No, that's right. Yeah, it looks a bit. And as he played to get a knight to F5, it still looks good, doesn't it? Weakens on H6, but still not quite good enough in terms of Black's dynamic. Black played dynamically, and he's winning.
It probably was
an unusual game, but I just quite like that.
Probably was good for White at one point when the double pawns.
Sorry?
I'd say it's probably good for White.
At what point?
All the games
back here.
Yeah, around here. I'd say.
Do you think? What in terms of?
Just the
weak pawn structure.
Pawn structure.
Well, so what would you play here then?
So who's White here? Who's actually White?
Who's White? Lubomir Kovalik.
Kovalik. Okay. Good player then.
Yeah. He
probably
thought he's going to get a knight to F5. Weakness. I mean, you'd think this would be better for White.
Yeah.
Black's got to play well to prove that it isn't. Actually, going back here.
It's somewhere here. Yeah.
What about knight H5 there?
Yeah.
Have I got the right position? No, in this position, knight H5.
Hoping that Spassky will miss the fork.
Yeah, he probably just plays Rook G6 actually.
White's got repetition if he wants it then.
Well, you think that Spassky won't sacrifice the exchange to straighten his pawns out with the 2 bishops?
I've got a blind spot for sacrifices. You see?
Oh right, okay. No, I think he would allow it. I mean, to get the bishops into the game. I mean, I still would rather be Black in that position, but just me. Maybe it's different people's styles. But I think probably sacrificing the exchange. I think he would do that rather than acquiescing the draw. What I would do. Anyway, one last game, which is against a interesting character called French IM, called Gilles Andre, who's in the Bundesliga, played in the Bundesliga actually. He had some personal problems in the end, gambling and all sorts of stuff. He sort of cracked up later on, but it was after this. So Spassky's Black in this one. I don't know anything about the theory of this, but it looks like a sort of a Queen's Gambit, which is
it started life as a Bogo Indian, but it was
but it looks like it's got a Queen's Gambit decline now. But it looks a bit unusual on D8. That's all. Back on E8 now. 45 Queen D8, Knight D2, Knight H4. White's playing on the Queen side. Black's bolstering C6 and getting his men over on the King side. H5 is an interesting idea. So let's get a bit passive now. He's a bit concerned. Rook A3 is quite a nice move, I think.
Yeah.
Rook E2. C5. C5 is a nice move. He's got the idea in mind.
Yeah,
here.
that's thematic, isn't it? Really, that.
Yeah, so he takes it.
His only worry would be in a book about minority attacks.
Yes. his piece placement is so good here, and what's gone passive, you know. So, but so he doesn't allow C4, obviously, you know, that would be getting too. So that gives up E5. So White moves his bishop away. Black plays Queen there.
Oh.
And
he resigned.
Yeah. Why did he resign?
So what happens when he takes the Queen? Is it mate soon?
Well, I want you to analyse it. Tell me how.
Pawn takes queen, knight takes pawn check, king h1, bishop h3, and then bishop g2 mate.
And you can't stop bishop g2 mate.
Oh,
incredible!
Because he was, I mean, he was playing for that with c5, is my belief. You know, that's why he played it. You know, and who can blame him? Sorry, king there, bishop there. So getting all your men around your king, they got to be on the right squares.
It must have come as a big shock to him.
Oh God, yeah. He must have think C5. What's he doing? And then,
yeah.
Wow.
Stunning move,
isn't it? Wow.
But what I like about it was, I think he played C5 such that he could play knight E5, such that he could play Queen F3. That's
a couple of moves before that, White probably thinks he's got everything under control. You know.
Well, I suppose so. Yeah. I mean, I think he's still a bit passively placed, but still, I agree though. Yeah, he wouldn't be expecting to lose like this, would he? I mean,
no.
It was no disgrace. I mean, the bishop on D7 is fairly passive.
Yes, it's interesting though. The bits around the king has to be the right bits, you know, the right squares. Anyway, I thought that was quite a neat finish.
Yeah.
So that's that. Thank you very much, everybody.
James,
well
played.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark.
Thank you. Yeah, spectacular game to finish off there. That was great.
Yeah, nice finish.
How old is Boris Spassky now then?
84.
See?
Yeah.
So
he was very ill some years ago.
He had a stroke which immobilized him, but he must be receiving, you know, perhaps the very fact he is a more relaxed man, you know, he's just sedentary, you know, he hasn't attempted to break out of it.
Does he still live in France, or did he go back to Russia?
No, he went back to Russia.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I read
because,
that,
yeah, he bought a house in Paris, which, believe you me, is not, you know, didn't get that for 10 francs.
I heard that he was taken back to Russia against his wishes. His wife effectively got him taken back, and didn't he write an open letter to the chess world saying he'd been kidnapped or something?
I don't know. I don't remember that. Maybe.
Yeah,
it's possible.
He made the bishops of opposite colours quote in reference to one of his wives.
He did. That was his second wife. He said we were like bishops of opposite colour. Yeah, a friend of mine used that quotation because he had a girlfriend at the hospital, and I pulled his leg about her, and he said, "Oh, we were like bishops of opposite colour."
Oh, yeah.
Lovely. Thank you for reminding me.
He also said when he went back to Russia that if he realised it had been like this, he'd have joined the Communist Party earlier. He wasn't in the Communist Party, but he joined it. He was very happy with how Russia was.
Might have been different then.
Yeah.
There was something that Bronstein said about Bagirov dying at the board, and one of the reasons Bronstein gave up and Spassky sort of lurched away from chess was they didn't want to have that happen to them. But beyond that point, it ceases to make sense. But that was Bronstein all over anyway.
Yes, Bronstein's a strange character.
Did Bronstein give up chess?
Yes, he drifted away a fair bit.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Bronstein's occupation was talking, really. So if he'd go to chess things because he could talk to people, you know, jump up from the board and talk for 50 minutes at Lloyd's Bank, and then realize his clock was running down.
At some point, he turned up at Charlton. I don't know if he knew somebody. But he played some games for Charlton, didn't he?
He lived at Peter Hannon's house, Peter and Rosemary.
Yes,
Hannon.
he did.
Did he? Oh no,
Yes, he did, because he was in there. He was in the shed because the postman handed Peter Hannon a letter, and he'd written not a letter to him, but he'd written on the envelope, "David Bronstein is in your shed." I'm sorry. It's that. I wish I was making this up, but it's true. It's true.
I remember. Yeah, another Bronstein story. I remember him attending the Hastings Centenary in 1995. And I think it was either the year before that or the year after. It was absolutely, I remember seeing him play chess on the pier, wearing an overcoat, woolly hat and gloves. It was that cold.
Mike, that was the Hastings Summer Festival.
Oh, right.
Didn't he play that well-known Grandmaster Patrick Moore? I might be wrong there.
In the live chess game, but I also he gave a talk at the Hastings Club, and I remember I asked him. I said, "Who is the strongest world champion you played?" And his answer was none of them. He said, "When you play the world champion, you're not playing the world champion. You're playing his team."
We always had to give a.
Can I quickly show my Bronstein story? Have I ever shown this before? Can you see?
Oh,
yeah. Oh. What is it?
Sign the bottom of my score sheet.
Wow. When was that?
He resigned, did he?
Yeah, I beat him in very easy. No.
It must have been some time ago because it's descriptive.
Yes, I always used to use that. It was 1992 simultaneous display, and he beat me very easily, of course.
Where was that?
If anyone's seen my book, I played the Haldane hack against Bronstein in a simul.
Oh, did you?
All right, okay.
And I did win, and I asked him afterwards, what did you think of it? And he said, just playing for tricks.
I'm surprised it.
But they appear to have worked. Yeah.
But he then, when the simul finished and we went into Lewisham Chess Club bar, then he sat down, had a drink, and then started talking to him, and he was quite chilled out. Then he was quite relaxed and quite pleasant. But his initial, I think his initial response when I asked him about the Haldane hack, it was just playing for tricks.
All right.
And then I insulted him by saying, you should have won. I made an error. And I insulted him by saying, do you remember the position? Because he was playing. And he said, of course I remember the position. I said, well, you could have played whatever the move was. And he looked, of course. And that's how it went.
Brilliant.
How that hack? You mean the line against the bishop, the line against the French?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With H5, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I played it. It's dangerous line.
Yeah. Colin, do you realise we played as juniors? You realise that?
As juniors?
I've got a game against C. Purden from
Wouldn't be me.
Kent juniors against somebody in a jamboree match. I'm sure it's going to be you.
What year? I think I do remember it. That was a French, was it?
1970s it was. Unless there was another sea purden around.
Oh, there's lots of us, mate.
Oh, is there? Oh,
yeah. I think I do remember it now you mention it, Andrew. I think I'd forgotten about it. Yeah.
Did the other Colin Purdens lose a lot of games?
Yes. Yeah, we put all our losses on one of them, and that's me, unfortunately.
If it was a real hack. I don't know. I think I sacked numerous pieces in this King's Gambit, and it's in the book anyway under the King's Gambit section.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
So I just assumed it was you, and there's a couple of French.
It would be me. It would definitely be me, Andrew. Yeah. No, well.
Right. I'd just like to thank Mark again for excellent talk yet again, and for all the preparation that evidently went into it. We really appreciate it as ever. So thanks, Mark. And
welcome.
Next week, you won't believe who we've got.
Mark Taylor. Next week it's Mark.
It's Mark Taylor again. No, it's not.
Talking about the varsity match.
It's Matthew Wadsworth talking about games from the varsity match or matches, and Matthew's a stronger I am, so I'm sure that's going to be very entertaining. So hopefully see everyone then, and in the meantime, hopefully see some of you on Sunday at Pine Ridge. If not, see you online next Tuesday.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.